Hello, this is Nancy Juetten. I am the Get Known to Get Paid mentor and the leader of the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group. And today I have a very important question for you. What if you could grow your YouTube channel from 1,000 subscribers to 19,894 in 3 months? That is what we're going to talk about today and a whole lot more. I am so excited to introduce you to my very special guest, Rebecca Zung. How are you today, Rebecca?
I'm great. I always love talking to Nance. One of my favorite people in the world. I'm saying it publicly.
Oh, thank you. Well, just so the benefit of our audience can appreciate how awesome you are, Rebecca is a top 1% divorce attorney in the country and is a master negotiator, best-selling author, and media personality. She's been featured on Extra, Dr. Drew, NPR, Time, Forbes, the Huffington Post, and more. She's a very popular YouTuber, as we've just discussed, and she's also the creator of the program called Slay Your Negotiation with a Narcissist. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of how you did it, can you tell us a little bit about your business and the mission you're fighting for?
Yeah, so it's Slay Your Negotiation with a Narcissist, and SLAY is actually an acronym for having a super strong strategy, creating invincible leverage, anticipating what the narcissist will do, and being 2 steps ahead of him or her, and focusing on you and your case. And so I offer my program, and it's been purchased by people literally all over the world. Literally all over the world.
How exciting is that?
Yeah.
And just for the benefit of those who don't yet know you, how long have you been selling this course?
It launched on March 11th.
Of this year?
Of this year, about 2 months.
And how's it going so far?
I've sold a couple hundred of them.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I also noticed is that not only do you sell lots of courses, but the engagement on your videos is off the charts. Some of the videos, one of them in particular, about something about making a narcissist panic.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I checked, it had 152,000 views and like 1,300 comments.
Yeah, it goes up every day by quite a bit, actually. You know, those are the kinds of things I have no control over. It's just a really cool thing to see one going viral like that, you know? I mean, it's just, I put out videos a couple times a week, and to see one really take off that way is really cool and interesting. It really takes a life of its own, you know?
Well, I don't yet know that, but I'm actually curious. What does it feel like in your body? Like, say you sit in front of the camera and you deliver this content and you believe that it's going to serve your ideal audience, and then you go about your business, and then you check back a little bit later and you see that this has happened. I mean, what's that like?
Well, it's a little crazy. I mean, I've had several videos kind of take off that way. That's the one that's the most, but you know, it's just kind of crazy because before I really started getting serious about YouTube, I would just throw videos up there every once in a while. Like I had another podcast that was just kind of a smaller thing, and I would put the videos of the podcast up there, and I would maybe get 20 views, 40 views. Like a really good one might get 100 or 200 or something, you know. I think I had one video that I had done a while back in May of last year, so like a year ago now. It was like a 3-minute thing I did on one afternoon on how to negotiate with a narcissist, and that one had like 600 views, which was a huge deal for me. So when I now put up videos, you know, and let's say I put it up on a Wednesday or something, and, you know, I think that narcissist panic one was the first one where I was at CVS picking up a prescription with my husband, and I checked, and on that Saturday, it had already had 12,000 views, like 3 days later. And I thought, wow, 12,000 views. I mean, that's not just like my mom and, like people I know, my best friends, that's like, okay, that's crazy. And so, now it's becoming more common. So,
So let me ask you a question about that. Here you're doing these podcasts, which were very good and getting some views, but then this one all of a sudden goes off the charts. Was that your first clue that this niche of guiding people to deal with a narcissist was something you needed to focus on more squarely?
so that kind of came from a few different directions, actually. Okay, so I had been doing a talk on how to negotiate for many years. I'd actually created it as a divorce attorney when I was still full on practicing. I needed to come up with talks that I could offer to deliver for local rotaries and things like that, that wasn't about divorce, because nobody wanted to hear about divorce. So I came up with this talk on, how to powerfully negotiate. So I'd been doing this talk for probably 10 years or something. And it was really just starting to take off. Like maybe 2 years ago, I'd been asked to deliver it at Camp Empowerment, and I had been asked to do it for a national audience, Elevate, which is a women's networking organization, and a whole bunch of different places. And I thought, oh, I was a keynote speaker for the ABA, and they asked me to do it. And so I thought, okay, maybe I'll write a book on negotiating. And so I did that. That came out in September. And my plan was to maybe just develop programs around negotiating in general, not necessarily narcissism or high conflict personalities. But what I found was that, you really have to niche. You really have to create enough of a niche that people know who you are and what you're talking about. And so I was like, I can't just say negotiating, because, am I pitching myself to real estate organizations? Am I pitching myself to tech organizations? Where do I fit in here? And so I bought a course, much like the one that I sell. I bought a course, which, included videos and workbooks and all this stuff on how to create YouTube videos. And I thought, well, let me just see what I can do on YouTube. I knew YouTube was a search engine. I knew that it's owned by Google. And so I just decided, because I had done a podcast for a year and a half, and there was zero business from it. Zero, pretty much zero. And so I just was kind of like, I'm not thrilled with the way the whole podcast thing is working as far as developing actual clients. So I just thought, well, let me try. So the woman in this course said, if you have a video on your channel, which she identified as a breakout video, quote unquote, she said, just do an experiment and do 8 more videos on that topic. And so I had this video called How to Negotiate with a Narcissist that I had put up in May of last year. And this was like maybe December now at this point, so maybe 6 months later. And I had like 600 views on it. And I thought, well, there's my breakout video, so let me give it a try. And then at the same time, I was also dealing in my personal life with a couple of narcissists that I didn't even realize were narcissists. They were covert, passive-aggressive narcissists. One in my business life, and one kind of as an extended family member. And so I really was working on getting them out of my life and creating barriers. And, you're a personal friend of mine, so you know all about the horrible trauma that I dealt with all of that. And so I was reading a book. So I saw this thing in this video saying, hey, if you have a breakout video, make more of those. Then at the same time, I was going to Florida for Christmas, and somebody suggested I read this book, The Covert Passive Aggressive Narcissist. So I was reading it
Well,
actually.
that sounds like a real page turner.
Oh, it was really fascinating. And I was really reading it for just knowledge content, because I thought if I'm going to make these 8 more videos, I should be teaching myself about this. And as I was reading it, I thought, oh my God, this is the 2 people that are in my life. That's what they are. And it was such an eye opener for me. So it was almost like God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, was like, okay, you're supposed to be niching down. Um, you've already been a divorce lawyer for over 20 years, and you've dealt with the most high conflict personalities, tons of narcissists, and both your as clients and opposing clients and opposing counsel and everything else. Plus, you've been dealing with these people in your real life, or your personal life. And so I just thought, okay, let me make the 8 more videos and just see where it goes from there. And
So let me ask you a question. Are these videos like, what's the length of these videos?
so I've been learning as I go. And earlier on, they were shorter, maybe 7 minutes or something. But I learned very quickly that for YouTube monetization, ideally they're over 10 minutes and less than 20.
So,
So
while I want to just tell folks, while we're doing this interview, you should be pulling out a piece of paper and capturing these little tidbits. Like, that was a good one.
yeah, because
And I want
YouTube,
to go back to one other thing you said for monetization. How many YouTube subscribers do you need to have in order for your YouTube channel to monetize?
you need to have at least 1,000 subscribers, but you also need to have 4,000 hours of watch time. That was one of the things that actually was a little bit disheartening for me in the beginning, because I finally got to 1,000. And then I was like, okay, that's it. I should be able to monetize. And then I realized I didn't have the 4,000 hours of watch time yet at that point. So it took me maybe another week or so after that to get the 4,000 hours of watch time done. So,
And because some of people that may be watching this is all new, when you say monetize, that means that YouTube will serve up ads before your videos. And
well, yeah, you get to pick if you want them to be skippable or not. But that little like skip ad thing that's in the beginning of your video, and then you can pick if you want them in the middle and if you want them at the end as well. And then YouTube figures out where they put them. And then you don't choose the advertiser. YouTube, that's an algorithm for YouTube that's set for that particular viewer. So, so that those ads are targeted to who they think would be good for that. And you can also pick if you want like the banner ads that go like, across where you're watching the video, like there's that little one. And then there's ones that are just at the top, underneath the video, but above the comments, you can have those as well. So you can select all of that.
okay, well, that's interesting. So now, in addition to selling hundreds of courses, you're also making money because, as I said earlier, you have 19,894.
Well, hopefully I'll have 20 before we get off the call here. It should be at 20, about
Wow, that's
20,000.
so exciting. So
Yeah.
when obviously you've already said that you did a podcast for a while and got zero business from it directly. So what called you to do YouTube of all the other things that you could do?
I just started listening to YouTube people talk about how YouTube is a search engine. It's different than a podcast or even any other social media, because you put a Facebook post up or an Instagram post, within a day or two it's old and it's gone, and it's not going to continue to be in people's feeds. Whereas YouTube is actually a search engine. So if somebody goes and puts in, I want more PR, or I want to raise my visibility or whatever, they could come up with the Get Known, Get Paid mentor because of the YouTube stuff. So, and because YouTube is owned by Google, Google favors YouTube content. And so when you search for things, you know, like in my instance, if somebody searches negotiating with a narcissist or divorcing a narcissist or something like that, they will get articles and that sort of thing, but they'll also get videos. You know, when you do a Google search, it'll say content, blah, 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 videos. And so now when I do an incognito search to see if my stuff is coming up, it always does, because of the SEO. So, you know, what's really important when you're doing these videos is to look at doing your keywords search and doing your search engine optimization.
Now, one other point I wanted to make is that YouTube tends to focus on what you see, what you hear, you can watch it, and
Correct.
it incorporates all these different learning styles. And I notice with my newsletters, for example, that when I share a video in my newsletter, the open rate is much higher, the engagement rate is much better, and text only is only reaching like 30% of the people that are out there. So the beauty of YouTube is not only do you have the visual, but there's also an automatic transcription that's generated that you can repurpose in all kinds of ways too.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about YouTube is like the amount of money that I get from the ads is really small. I mean, I definitely couldn't live on it. So, but the monetization is in the warming up of your audiences. So when I do a free webinar every week, and
what is the title of the webinar? Just curious.
It's 3 must-have secrets to communicating with a narcissist.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to absolutely have to put that in the show notes just in case folks who are watching need to get that problem slayed with your support.
Yeah, it's a free webinar. And people love it because at the end of the webinar, I do what I call a AAA session, which is Ask the Attorney Anything. And so a lot of people want to, you know, ask my opinion on things. I always tell them I can't give legal advice, but I can give guidance and my thoughts on things. And so I do that every week. And, you know, what I find is that people have binged watched my videos. I mean, they've sat there and watched hours and hours and hours of my content. So they're super warmed up by the time they come to my webinars. And that's why I've sold so many programs so quickly, because people have developed a relationship with me and they feel like they can trust me, and they've gotten, you know, the thing about, you always talk, Nancy, about lead with a giving hand. And the thing about people is, and myself included, all people, you know, we want to feel like we've gotten a lot of value before we can really trust someone. And so my audience has listened to me a lot by the time they come to my webinars. So they know that I know what I'm talking about. They feel a relationship with me, and you know, they feel that I care about them, which I do, you know. So it makes a huge difference. So the key with being successful with YouTube is developing, you know, having really good content and developing that relationship with your audience.
Absolutely. Well, since you've been reading a lot and practicing a lot and having some success that's measurable and worthy of celebration, would you be willing to share a couple of the resources that you've tapped into to accelerate your learning?
Yeah, so I took a YouTube course from a gal named Sunny Leonard Doozy. I mean, I have no relationship with her whatsoever. So you know, she definitely has no idea who I am, but I just purchased her course and did what she said to do in it, which was to, you know, if you have between 100 and 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, if you just make content that's like very similar to what people are putting out there that have 5 million subscribers, your video will not be seen. It will not be seen. So the thing you have to know is that I don't know what the statistic is, but hundreds of thousands of videos are being uploaded all the time to YouTube, hundreds of thousands. And so if you want to stand out and you want to start growing your channel, then you have to figure out, in the beginning, really targeted titles and doing the keyword research. I use keywords everywhere, and I use TubeBuddy. You need to use both. And so what she suggested is, like with keywords everywhere, if you have between 100 and 1,000 subscribers, then you should be finding search terms that are between 100 and 1,000 as well. So, let's say I wanted to do something on covert narcissists. I had to look, like, maybe those are the two main keywords. And then you could add some long tail keywords to it, like covert passive aggressive narcissist or covert narcissists in relationships or something like that, to, reduce the pool of search. And then you do keywords around that to write your description. So when you're writing your description in YouTube, you're using SEO that whole time, and making sure that the file name, that MP4 file name, like the metadata has to match too. And the metadata on your thumbnail has to match. Like, YouTube checks all this stuff when they're verifying your channel and verifying your content before they decide if they're gonna, have it as be a suggested video or something. Because you really want, when you look at your analytics in YouTube, you want to be able to look at, how are people finding you? And like directly finding you by your name just means that, like, maybe they heard me on your show like this or whatever. But that's not really optimum. Optimum is that you were suggested or browse features, right? So they're just looking for that piece of that type of content, that subject, and you're being suggested, or they find you through browse. That's really the ideal. So, and then with TubeBuddy, you look to see how many videos there are on that topic. So, and you want less than 100,000.
And is TubeBuddy a subscription fee service, or is it?
TubeBuddy yeah, you do pay for it, but it's very, very minimal. I can't remember how much it was. It's so little that I can't remember how much it was. I mean,
well, that's an answer to a prayer for people, especially now as they're trying to be efficient with their available resources.
Yeah,
right?
and Keywords Everywhere is also now paid. It was free, but it's so inexpensive. I can't remember how much. I think I paid $10 for 100,000 searches or something. I still have like 90,000 left or something. I mean, it's really, really inexpensive.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and so you want to just make sure that you have, the Keywords Everywhere is between 100 and 1,000 for the keywords, and then for TubeBuddy, less than 100,000 videos on that topic. And you want a score of at least fair or better in TubeBuddy. So that's how I did it, at least to get to 1,000 subscribers. And then once you start, getting up into more, and you have your own audience, and like I'll hit 20,000 today for sure.
Oh, okay, 20,000, no trouble.
Well, I mean, it's still considered a small channel compared to some of the others who have, millions of subscribers. But
Well, so let me ask you a question, because this is sort of they say there are riches and niches, and you have dialed in on a very specific audience that's dealing with a specifically urgent problem of either wanting to exit a relationship with someone who's narcissistic, or someone who's got a challenging or high conflict personality that's making their life miserable. And I think as we're recording this video during the COVID-19 pandemic, I think whatever people's aggravations are with people are escalated. Would you say that's true?
Absolutely. In fact, I have exciting news to share. I didn't even have a chance to tell you this. I did an article that went along with the video that I just released 2 days ago, which was divorce, narcissists, and COVID-19, the two global pandemics of narcissism and COVID are actually coming together, and they're going to create a big bang in the divorce world, because as soon as this is over, the divorce rate is set to spike. And so
I saw that article. It was riveting.
Thank you. So I put it on, I submitted it to Elephant Journal, and Elephant Journal.
What is that? What is that?
Oh, it's a huge blog. It's like as big as Huffington Post, or, you know, it's a huge, 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 massive blog. And they loved it so much that they decided to feature it as part of their magazine. And so it's like starting to go viral. And you know, and then the video itself I put up 2 days ago as well, and it has thousands of views. I have to look and see. I don't know how many, but.
So that leads me to another question. You know, in my previous life, I was a publicist, and I was all about helping people to get seen, heard, and celebrated in the media. And it seems to me that might be just the ticket to get you to the Today Show, Good Morning America, some of those kinds of venues, because this is hot.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see.
I think that might be something to give some thought to. My little friend. I would love to have a link to those two, the video and that article, to put in the show notes, because I think people are going to want to read that. Because listen, I'm happily married and I love my husband, and he says to me, there's nobody with whom I'd rather be in quarantine, which I feel so lucky. But I know there are some people out there that is not their situation, and this is going to be a run, Forrest, run moment to the divorce court. But so much better for them to show up at your YouTube channel to get educated. Before they go to their attorney. They'll end up saving an awful lot of money by being more empowered and knowledgeable about the kinds of questions to ask, correct?
Absolutely. Well, that's part of the article, is actually, you know, planning. Here's what you should be thinking about planning right now. So, and it's all, the video has the same content. It's just, you know, different way to consume it.
Which is all about repurposing. And so if you are someone who has been writing, but not doing videos and not doing audios, just use the same content and repurpose it in different ways, so you can touch on different learning styles and different ways that people consume information. And you just might find yourself with just about 20,000 subscribers and growing. And so speaking of which, what have you learned so far along this path? I mean, it's been a pretty meteoric rise from 1,000 to 20,000 subscribers. If you haven't learned anything that would help our audience sidestep any potholes or dark holes or mistakes, anything you would be willing to share, that if you had it to do over again, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently? I don't know. I mean, I probably would have paid attention to YouTube a lot sooner. I probably wouldn't have spent so much time on a podcast. So now I still have a podcast, but it's just really more of a repurposing of, like, you really should pick one platform that's kind of your main platform. I agree with you on the repurposing piece, but you know, you should pick one platform, and then kind of everything sort of spiderwebs out from there. And so, you know, my YouTube has become more my main platform. And so, you know, I'll repurpose content from my YouTube for my podcast. You know, my Instagram might have quotes from my new YouTube videos. It might have clips from my new YouTube videos. Things like that. Same with my Facebook groups. So I have a
pause there about the Facebook group, because that was another question I wanted to ask.
Sure.
What's happened with I know the YouTube channel came first, but then the YouTube group came after. And
yes.
Is it a free group, or is it a free group? And
no, I have both. I have one just for the purchasers of my program, which I have found actually not all the purchasers choose to join, which is understandable. But the free one has kind of exploded. I had actually
When you say
started it,
kind of exploded, like what does that mean?
like I just decided to start. So I had created this group probably 2 years ago, but I didn't do anything with it. And I had maybe 30 or 40 people in it. And I just decided to rename it as the Narcissist Negotiators maybe a month ago. And there's about 2,000 people in it now. It's
What happens there in this group?
Mostly it's for them to support each other and find other people who are dealing with the same issues. I'm now at the point, and I mean, it's crazy because I only have 20,000 subscribers and I have maybe 24,000 followers on Instagram. But, you know, I do have about 12,000 on my list now. I mean, my list has exploded as well. And so I'm at the point now where I get probably 100 emails a day, or you know, and that doesn't even count the voicemails I get, the direct messages I get on Instagram, LinkedIn. You know, it's a little bit insane because I still have a law practice that I work in on a limited basis as well, plus everything else that I'm doing to get this business going and keep it going. And so it's and continue to make content and write videos and get them recorded and get them edited and all this stuff going. You know, it's a tremendous amount of work. And so, you know, it's hard to keep up with all of that. So I don't, I mean, most people just want free advice, which I really don't have time to do. I figured my program speaks for itself, like that's the program. And, you know, I do offer some limited coaching if people want that. And there's a coaching button on my website if people want to sign up for coaching. But you know, I don't have tons of time for that. So inside the Facebook group, it's really more for people to support each other. I'll put my videos in there. Oh, the one thing I am doing to provide more of a service for my people, my community, is I started a new show on Instagram Live, which is called Become a Narc Slayer, live coaching with Rebecca Zung. And we have a application process, and the people have to agree to show their face and voice. And I don't meet them ahead of time. They literally come on, it's 30 minutes. They tell me what's going on, and I coach them live for 30 minutes. And then we turn it into an episode of the show. It'll be called Become a Narc Slayer, live coaching with Rebecca Zung. And then it lives on as an episode, as episodes of a show in my Instagram TV.
Huh.
So, yeah.
So a couple of things. I'm just trying to formulate my questions here. What are you hoping to accomplish for the future?
Really just to try to help as many people as I possibly can with this issue. I mean, narcissism really is a global pandemic, as I said in my article. You know, if approximately 6% of the world's population has narcissistic personality disorder, which is what they estimate that it is, and another 3.3% has you know, a lack of empathy or a lack of conscience, you know, that's close to 10% of the world's population, which if you 7.5 billion people, we're talking about 700 million. And if each one of those people narcissistically abuses 5 people in their lifetimes, which is probably a low number, we're talking about, you know, 3.4 billion people. It really is another global pandemic. And, you know, so there's so many people, literally every single time I do my webinars, every single time I have people on there from UK, Australia, Canada, Ireland, every single time. But, you know, Holland, Japan, Spain, Luxembourg, Iran, India, Beijing, China, everywhere, all over the world. I've had people on my webinars and purchasing my programs from pretty much every state in the union. This is a universal problem.
So
So
when people take your course, like I follow you pretty closely because we're good friends, but I've seen some beautiful feedback that's been posted to your Instagram. Can you just share a couple of the things that people say about what your content and course has done to transform their lives and empower them in new ways?
oh yeah, I mean, it's almost, it's so humbling and overwhelming. I mean, everything from you saved my life, literally, to, I had one guy say, I met with my lawyer this morning. He was expecting to meet with me for 3 hours. I was in and out in 25 minutes. He couldn't believe the grasp I had. I told him, this is the strategy. Here's how we're proceeding. I've seen people like actually literally send my program to their lawyer and tell them, do this. It's pretty crazy to see that. But, most the feedback that I'm getting from people about how I've, completely changed the trajectory of their lives and, saved their lives, their children's lives, that they feel so much more empowered. One woman said, I felt like I was punching my way in a paper bag, and now I feel totally in control, and my soon-to-be ex doesn't even know what's come over me. Things like that are really, it's incredible. Seriously.
Well, congratulations to you for creating something of lasting value that's creating such a personal and profound impact on so many families. And my guess, my forecast is that you've only just begun to make your best impact, because as you say, there's going to be a divorce pandemic. I mean, when we've talked about this before, you've said that, was it January tends to be the biggest month for divorces?
Yeah, well, I think the surge in China, like after their shelter in place was over, I've heard varying statistics between the divorce rate went up 25%, and I heard somebody else say 33%. But, I think the same thing is poised to happen here.
Well, people would do themselves a fine favor to take advantage of the Slay Your Negotiation with a Narcissist program, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and they can find out more about that at slayernegotiation.com.
Yes.
And I've learned very well from good old Nancy Juetten. If you want a free opt-in, go to winmynegotiation.com and you get a free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet.
Say that one more time slowly so people can write it down.
Yeah, so if you want a free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet, which is actually an ebook, it's like 14 pages long, go to winmynegotiation.com.
Very good. Well, so let's just recap some of the things that I took away from this interview. One of the best training resources that you referenced was Sunny Lenarduzzi's.
Lenarduzzi.
And I want to just say about that, when I've heard this several times. I did 2 other interviews with Sue Ferreira about how to get your YouTube game on. And if you've enjoyed this interview, you'll want to also circle back for the how-to details that Sue provided in a very simple way. She mentioned Sunny Lenarduzzi, and then you've mentioned her. So when you hear the same name again and again, go to that place, and you can binge watch some of her free videos to develop, as you say, the know, like, trust, to know that she's the one that you want to have guiding your journey. And no, I do not have an affiliate relationship with Sunny,
Neither do I.
Right. So just be clear that she's really good at what she does, and Rebecca sat at the feet of her wisdom and went from 0 to hero in record time. Number 2, you said SEO and keywords, and using some of these tools like TubeBuddy and Keyword Everywhere. These are essential tools to take yourself seriously as a YouTuber. If you're going to dabble, it's probably not your thing. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, it's really hard to stand out on YouTube. I mean, it's really hard. You're in a sea of blue ocean there.
The other thing I heard you say is that dialing in on a very specific, terrific, urgent problem with a very specific audience has been really the fuel that has helped this thing take off. So anyone who's still in a niche fog about I'm going to help everyone and it's going to be fine, let Rebecca's example be one to compel you to dial in deeper, to find a very specific audience with a specific problem that you have a solution that will be game changing for them, and really do the work there, because then you can grow as she has grown.
I'll quote two things that Sunny said in her course, which is broad equals broke, and you have to niche down to blow up.
Broad equals broke, and niche down to blow up.
Yeah, but one thing I want to add to that from a personal level is, really don't think of it in terms of where can I make the most money, because I really didn't plan on developing a course on how to negotiate with a narcissist. It kind of found me because I had written this book on negotiation, and I had dealt with these narcissists in my real life. And I thought, well, let me try to do these videos on this. And it really was, it kind of was an organic thing. And I had even said to my husband, I don't know if I want to be the narcissist queen. But on the other hand, it was something I personally really felt a passion about, because I had been burned by it myself. It was really like, I couldn't be doing what I'm doing if I couldn't speak to the audience and have them know that I really, truly empathize and feel what they're feeling. So I would just say, if you're going to choose a niche, it sounds cliche, but don't do it because you think it's going to make a lot of money. Do it because you really feel a passion for that, and the money will follow.
I love what you said, and it reminds me of a quote that I've referenced many times before from someone named Jeffrey Van Dyke. And he has said that out of your deepest wound in life calls forth your greatest gift to share. And I know for myself that that is true, because one of the things that I've contended with as a human being is this feeling of not being seen, heard, or celebrated in my own very close circle, and knowing what it felt like to be invisible and unseen and unrecognized. It was such a wound for me that I knew I'd made a career out of helping other people be seen, heard, and celebrated, and ultimately compensated for their winning ways. And in doing that, I mean, I totally appreciate what it is not to be seen. And it's a pleasure and a gift to give to others, to show them an avenue where they can be seen. And I think because I understood that at a visceral level, that I create a relationship with the client that allows them to feel that I'm the guide that can get them there. So here we are, two gals that have the similar kind of thing. We took our deepest wound and we turned it into a gift for others. And we appreciate it so well that we can be that leader for that particular audience. And that's really
Right.
the inspiration for this, for everyone who's watching. What is your deepest pain? What is the most urgent problem that you found a solution for? And how can you bring it to market to a specific audience so that you can show up, be seen, be heard, be recognized, and be compensated? Because I think you said that it was hundreds of courses that have been purchased.
Oh yeah.
And we're only in the beginning. And
Yeah.
just because I'm curious, is it a really expensive course, or is it something that a regular person can afford? Or
So the regular price is $697, and then on the webinar, I give a discount code, which I will give a code to your listeners as well. So the code for your listeners to get $200 off is SLAY200, SLAY 200, and so that they can get the course for less than 1 hour of my hourly rate, which is a really good deal. It becomes $497.
well,
So,
my hope is that this video goes viral so that all the folks that are pondering getting disconnected from their narcissistic partner can do so for less than 1 hour of a legal professional's, a high-end lawyer's time, and walk into that attorney's office negotiating right out of the box to get the best value with the least amount of effort and the best possible outcome. So Rebecca, anything more you want to say? Final words?
I would just say, you know, when you were talking about your pain and your wound, is to also to echo that, not, don't copy anyone else. Don't, you know, that was something that I had to deal with one of the narcissists in my life, was a constant being copied while I was being also traumatized and gaslighted and abused. This person was copying everything that I was doing. And don't copy people. It doesn't feel authentic, and people know. You know, just really think about what is your thing and create that. And that's what really has, I think, allowed me to take off. It kind of feels like I'm on this ride.
That's so beautiful. You know, I think I was talking to you a little while ago. It might have been over a year ago, and I said, you can't karaoke sing your way to success. You know, there are karaoke singers everywhere, but there's only one original. So be you. And that's what you're doing. And you're serving many, many thousands of people. And my fondest wish is that you will have the opportunity to serve many, many thousands, maybe millions more. And that we'll be able to celebrate that success next time we get to see each other in person. And I hope that that will come soon.
I hope so too.
Yes, I'd love for us all to be able to travel freely about the world in a safe and secure manner, and may that be the case. And may we get to link arms with people that do not have narcissistic tendencies.
Oh God, please, yes. I'm so anti-narcissist now. I think that's part of the reason why I love you so much, because we have a real friendship, and it's just made me so much more appreciative of my girlfriends and my real friendships, and the people in my life that are authentic. So, you know, a lot of good has come out of it.
Well, this has been just wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me for this wonderful, awesome interview series where we're guiding our viewers to learn more, to earn more, and in this case, do it on YouTube. If you have enjoyed this video, please subscribe, click the little red bell so that you're alerted to the next awesome interview series that comes along. And if you haven't yet joined me in the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group, I'll have a link in the show notes so that you can. It's free to join, and you get this kind of training and a lot more personal attention in there. And oh, by the way, it's free to be a part of it. Raise your voice, make your impact. If not now, then when? This is Nancy Juetten with my very special guest, Rebecca Zung, saying thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Mwah.
Mwah, back.
Let's see.